The Valyrian council hall was silent, too silent. The air felt heavy, almost frozen in fear. Outside the tall crystal windows, the sky burned red as enemy ships crossed the atmosphere. Explosions echoed like distant thunder. Every few minutes the ground shook, and dust fell from the ancient pillars. The Valyrians were a peaceful species, known for music, science, and nature. They had not fought a real war for over 500 years. But today, all their beauty was turning into ashes. Their attackers, the Crag Dominion, had arrived without warning. The Crag were a brutal warrior race, famous for destroying planets that dared to resist. High Chancellor Rylan stood near the great holographic map. His bright silver eyes trembled as he watched the red markers spread across the city. "Our defense shields are falling," he said quietly. "We will not survive another hour." General Illyra, the head of planetary defense, tried to stay strong, but even her voice cracked. "Our ships are too weak. We have lost most of our fleet. We cannot stop the Crag." The council members murmured, fear rising like a storm. Then an old voice spoke from the shadows. "Activate the star beacon." Every head turned. Elder Sailor, the oldest and most respected scholar, stepped forward. His long white robes dragged across the floor. General Illyra shook her head. "That beacon is ancient. It has not been used for thousands of years." Elder Sailor's voice stayed calm. "It was created by our ancestors. According to legend, it sends a call for help to the greatest defenders in the galaxy. If the myth is true, they will come. But who are these defenders?" Rylan whispered. Sailor lowered his eyes. "No one knows. The records are lost. But the beacon was our ancestors' final hope. And now it is ours." Another explosion shook the hall. Outside, a giant Crag warship descended to the smoke-filled sky. Rylan nodded slowly. "Then we have no other choice. Activate it." Deep under the council hall, in a forgotten chamber, stood the ancient device. The star beacon was a massive crystalline tower covered in glowing runes. It hummed softly, as if still alive after all these centuries. Technicians rushed to power it on. Dust fell as energy surged through old cables. The runes lit one by one, blue, then white, then golden. A soft voice echoed through the chamber. "Distress confirmed. Sending signal to designated protectors." A bright beam shot upward, piercing the sky. The entire planet saw it, a golden column of light rising toward the stars. Every Valyrian stopped and looked up with hope. On the council platform, Elder Sailor sighed in relief. "It is done." Rylan asked quietly, "How long until they arrive?" Sailor replied, "If they still exist, perhaps minutes, maybe hours." Then his voice grew weaker. "Or maybe never. Many light years away. On Earth." The Terran Union Deep Space Listening Array detected the signal instantly. Inside a large control room filled with blinking screens and floating holograms, alarms began to blare. Officers rushed to their stations. Lieutenant Mara shouted, "Unidentified galactic distress signal detected. Origin, unknown species. Threat level, Omega." Commander Holt strode in, his boots echoing on the metal floor. He scanned the data. "What does the message say?" Mara activated the audio. A trembling voice, Valyrian, played through the speakers. "To the ancient defenders, help us. Our world is falling. Please save us." Holt frowned. "Ancient defenders? They're not calling us. This message wasn't meant for humans." "But it reached us, sir," Mara replied. "And the beacon classified its request as highest priority assistance." That was all humanity needed. For centuries, Earth had changed. Humans no longer fought each other. They united under one force, the Terran Union. Every species they met, they helped. Every distress call they heard, they answered. Commander Holt spoke firmly. "Prepare the Armada. We are responding." Back on the Valyrian homeworld, hours passed. The Crag pushed deeper into the city. Fires spread across the skyline. The sound of destruction was constant. Some council members started losing hope. "What if the beacon failed?" One whispered. "What if no one is coming?" Another cried. Elder Sailor closed his eyes. "We must believe." Suddenly, every device on the planet flickered. Sky sensors lit up. The cloud began to swirl. Thunder rumbled. Space itself seemed to distort. General Illyra looked up, eyes wide. That is not a natural storm. A Valyrian technician screamed from the control deck. Object detected. No, multiple objects. Hundreds. The sky cracked open with a blinding light. Then the impossible happened. Gigantic metallic shapes emerged from hyperspace, one after another, filling the horizon. Sleek black warships. Silver cruisers. Massive carriers the size of small moons. The Terran Armada. The Valyrians stared in horror and awe. "These are not our ancient guardians," Rylan whispered. "What are we called here?" A deep human voice echoed from the sky. "This is the Terran Union. We received your distress call. Identify yourselves." The Valyrians were speechless. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The sky above Valyria was no longer a sky. It had become a mirror of metal, reflecting the human armada that hung silently over the planet like watching giants. The Valyrians expected noise, engines, or some thunder power, but the Terran fleet made no sound. It simply watched. That frightened the Valyrians more than any gunshot. Inside the council hall, tension thickened like smoke. Everyone stared at the main screen showing the largest human ship, a colossal black vessel shaped like a spearhead, its hull covered in white glowing lines. General Illyra whispered, "These humans, they do not behave like conquerors. They behave like predators waiting to see what moves next." Before anyone could respond, a sudden vibration echoed through the hall. "Deep, deep, deep. Transmission incoming," a technician shouted. The council froze. A human voice broke through the speakers, calm, deep, and unerringly controlled. "This is the Terran Union Armada. We received your distress call. Identify yourselves." The message echoed inside every Valyrian room, every ship, and every mountain valley. For a moment, even the burning cities fell silent, listening. Chancellor Rylan swallowed hard. They answered. Elder Sailor closed his eyes, whispering, "Ancient protectors, or not." Someone came. On the horizon's bridge, Commander Holt stood with arms folded behind his back. His expression was unreadable, his stance calm. Surrounding him, officers worked quietly, every movement smooth and precise. Wren approached. "Sir, the Valyrians have not replied yet. Their calm shows signs of panic." "Expected," Holt replied. "We appeared without warning." Wren hesitated. "Sir, do you think they understand we came to help?" Holt didn't answer immediately. He looked at the holographic projection of the planet. Fires burning, cities half destroyed. Fear makes communication difficult. "We will wait." His voice was steady, but beneath the surface, the entire bridge felt something intense. Humans were patient, but their patience had limits. Down on the surface, the council finally sent a reply. A shaky hologram of Chancellor Rylan appeared inside the Horizon's command chamber. His voice trembled. We are the Valyrian people. We activated our ancient beacon, seeking the guardians of old. We did not expect your kind." Holt nodded slowly. "And yet, you asked for help. So humanity came." Rylan seemed confused. "You respond to every distress beacon?" Holt answered without hesitation. "Yes, it is our law." For a moment, Rylan forgot the fear. A species that answered every cry for help? That sounded like the legends of old. But the moment broke when alarms erupted in the Valyrian chamber. "Crag ships entering low orbit," a technician screamed. General Illyra looked at the sky feed, multiple red shapes descending. "They're going to finish the city." Panic rushed through the Valyrian council. And at that exact moment, the Horizon's bridge lit up with warning markers. Wren shouted, "Crag Assault Squad approaching the upper atmosphere." Holt spoke only 2 words. "Intercept them." Terran ships moved instantly. The first Crag strike craft broke through the clouds, black metal monsters shaped like razors. Flames from the burning city colored their hulls a violent orange. Then something else broke through the clouds. A single human destroyer, descending like a falling star, trailing blue plasma from its engines. Valyrians gasped as the two forces collided above the burning capital. The human destroyer fired once, a white beam slicing through the crag formation, vaporizing 3 ships instantly. Another crag fighter shot toward a civilian district, and a Terran drone intercepted it mid-air, detonating both in a shockwave. General Illyra stared at the screens. They moved too fast, too precise. Elder Sailor whispered, "No wasted shots. No hesitation. They are fighting like they already mourn us." On the horizon, Holt watched the battle in silence. Wren checked his readings. "Sir, surface civilians are safer now. Crag retreating from that sector." "Good," Holt said softly. "But this is only the beginning." Wren hesitated. "There's something strange, sir." "What is it?" Wren zoomed in on the crag retreat patterns. "They're falling back toward a single point. They're jump signatures. They are calling reinforcements." Holt's jaw tightened. "How many?" Wren's voice went cold. "Possibly a whole battle group." Holt nodded once. "Then we deal with that too." On the surface, as the smoke cleared slightly, the Valyrians watched human ships rise back into the sky. Many fell to their knees, some in relief, some in fear. We are alive because of them," a council member whispered. "But at what cost?" another said. "What if we brought doom to their world as well?" Elder Sailor looked at the sky, a sky now guarded by strangers stronger than myths. "No," Sailor said. "These humans do not run from doom. They chase it." General Illyra breathed slowly. "So now what happens next?" Sailor watched the Terran Armada shift formation. "Next," he said softly, "the humans will hunt the Dominion." High above, inside the horizon, Holt gave the next order. "All ships, prepare long-range sweep. We're tracking the crag." Wren asked, "Sir, what are our rules of engagement?" Holt answered with quiet power. "If they threaten this world again, we erase their fleet." And for the first time since the beacon activated, the galaxy understood. Humanity had heard a call for help, and they were not leaving, not until the threat was gone. The lights inside the Terran Union flagship, TUS Horizon, dimmed to combat red. Every surface glowed with deep crimson lines, giving the entire bridge a quiet, deadly atmosphere. Humans moved with calm precision, no fear, no confusion. They acted like people who had done this 1,000 times before. Commander Holt stood in the center of the bridge, hands behind his back, watching the holographic display of the Valyrian system. Blue icons represented Valyrian settlements. Yellow icons showed Terran ships. And then red icons, crag signatures, dozens of them, pouring into the outer orbit. But this time, the humans were already waiting. "Status?" Holt asked. "Armada holding position," replied Tactical Officer Wren. "Crag skirmishers circling our perimeter. They're scanning us, but not attacking yet." Wren paused. "Sir, they look afraid." Holt allowed himself a brief exhale. "Good. They should be." Down on the surface, the Valyrian Council watched the human fleet in disbelief. The alien screen showed hundreds of Terran ships calmly surrounding their world, forming a wall of metal and firepower that stretched across the sky. "They are not Guardians," a council member whispered. "They are something else." General Illyra narrowed her eyes. "They came to help. Their message said so. But look at them, their ships are built for war." Elder Sailor remained silent. He was studying the strange symbols on the Terran hulls. Shapes like wolves, eagles, dragons. Symbols of strength. "Warriors often make the best protectors," Sailor murmured. Before anyone could answer, the ground trembled. Every Valyrian communicator vibrated. New signals. Dozens. A technician screamed. Crag reinforcements detected. A full battle group. Panic spread through the council chamber. The Valyrians rushed to their screens. But the humans did not move. On the horizon's bridge, an alarm softly pinged. Wren checked the data. "Sir, massive Crag battle group entering the system. Estimated 30 warships and a supercarrier." A quiet murmur ran through the junior officers. A Crag supercarrier wasn't just a ship. It was a mobile fortress capable of destroying cities from orbit. Holt stayed absolutely still. Have they locked weapons on the Valyrian surface? Rin checked again. No, they are holding formation. Sir, they are staring at us. Holt nodded. Open a channel. Let's see if they want to talk before they die. The comms officer activated the link. A massive reptilian face appeared on the holoscreen. Scarred scales, red glowing eyes, and a mouth full of needle-sharp teeth. The crag commander snarled. Unknown species. You interfere in the Dominion's conquests. Holt didn't blink. This planet sent a distress call. We responded. You will leave, the crag commander hissed. We do not recognize your authority. Holt stepped closer. You don't need to recognize it. You only need to survive it. The crag commander growled, confused. Are you challenging the Dominion? Holt's voice turned cold. No, we're ending you. The calm link cut. The Valyrians watching the feed gasped. Humans just threaten the Dominion, someone whispered. That is suicide. But Elder Sailor leaned forward. No, watch their eyes. These humans do not fear the crag, not even a little. On the horizon, Rin stiffened. Sir, crag supercarriers powering weapons. Holt didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Armada, shield wall formation. Prepare intercept. He turned to run. When they fire, counterfire. But sir, they outnumber us. Holt interrupted without looking. They outnumber us everywhere. They've always outnumbered everyone. That's how the Dominion survives. He paused. But they've never fought us. In orbit, space rippled with light as the crag supercarrier launched its first volley, dozens of plasma torpedoes streaking toward the Valyrian planet, leaving bright blue trails in the darkness. Valyrians screamed in terror. General Illyra closed her eyes, expecting the shields to collapse. But the torpedoes never reached the surface. They slammed into a glowing wall of blue light, a Terran defense barrier powered by over 40 human ships in perfect synchronization. The barrier held. Not even a flicker. The Valyrians stared in disbelief. They protected us, whispered a young council member. Without even being asked. Above the planet, humans began their counterattack. Fire, Holt ordered. A single Terran battleship unleashed a beam of white plasma so powerful that it carved straight to the crag's escort ship, splitting it cleanly in half. Target down, Ren reported. Another ship followed. Then another. The humans moved like a machine. The crag supercarrier turned, trying to flee. Ren raised an eyebrow. Sir, they're retreating. Holt nodded slowly. They've realized they are outmatched. Ren hesitated. Should we let them go? Holt finally smiled, a cold, sharp smile. No, we follow them. We need to know where they came from. He pressed a button, and the ship lights shifted to deep blue, pursuit mode. Set course to track the escaping battle group, Holt ordered. We're going into Dominion space. Ren looked up, shocked. That's basically invading their territory. Holt's voice turned serious. The Valyrians told us their story. The crag have enslaved dozens of species. They destroy entire civilizations. He paused. And humanity does not ignore monsters. Down on the surface, the Valyrians watched the humans preparing to chase the crag fleet beyond the horizon of stars. General Illyra whispered, They are not just rescuers, they are hunters. Elder Sailor looked up at the Terran Armada with newfound understanding. No, he said softly. They are something far more dangerous. They are humans. The stars around the Valyrian system looked calm, cold, distant, untouched. But the silence was a lie. Space was holding its breath. On one side of orbit floated the Terran Armada, aligned in a perfect crescent formation. Hundreds of ships, engines glowing white-blue, weapons armed but silent. They looked like predators conserving energy before a kill. On the other side, emerging from the blackness like a storm, came the crag Dominion war host. The massive supercarrier Bloodmaw appeared first, its armor hull covered in jagged metal spikes and glowing red lines. Behind it materialized destroyers, assault frigates, drone barges, an entire legion of warships. The Valyrian sky darkened as their shadows passed overhead. On the Terran flagship TUS Horizon, the atmosphere turned sharp. Commander Holt stood on the bridge, watching the enemy icons multiply on the display. Tactical, he said quietly. Their numbers? Rin swallowed. Sir, at least 80 Crag vessels, plus the supercarrier. A junior officer whispered. Outnumbered almost 4-1. Holt didn't react. We've been outnumbered since humanity met the stars. He stepped forward, and we're still here. In the Valyrian Council Hall, panic consumed the room. Look at their fleet, a council member screamed. That is a planetary assault force. Why are they sending so many? General Illera gripped the console. They want to break us in one strike. Elder Sailor's voice was low, trembling but hopeful. Do not lose faith. The humans they came to fight. A technician pointed at the orbital feed. Look, both fleets are powering weapons. The room fell silent. High above the planet, space ignited. The Crag supercarrier launched first, a flood of thousands of drone fighters, spilling out like a dark metal wave. Their engines glowed violent red as they swarmed toward the human line. TUS Horizon sensors erupted. Massive drones swarm incoming. Rin shouted. Holt didn't blink. Deploy Aegis drones. From the Terran fleet, hundreds of small silver orbs launched, spreading into a dome-shaped formation. When the Crag drones reached them, the orbs unleashed white pulse lightning, a web of electrical arcs connecting orb to orb. A glowing storm formed in space. Thousands of Crag drones crashed into it, short-circuiting instantly. Valyrian observers gasped. What technology is that? General Illera whispered. It looks like lightning woven into a wall. But the battle was only beginning. The Crag destroyers charged forward, firing heavy plasma bolts that streaked blue across the battlefield. The Terran fleet responded with brutal precision. Rail batteries fire, Holt ordered. Terran battleships unleashed hypersonic slugs, thin rods of superheated metal traveling faster than sound could ever travel. The shots pierced through Crag's shields like paper, blowing holes in multiple ships with each hit. One destroyer folded in half, drifting apart in silence. Ren's eyes widened. Crag destroyers falling apart everywhere. Sir, they can't handle our kinetic output. Holt almost smiled. Most species can't. But the Crag supercarrier Bloodmaw did not retreat. It moved closer, opening massive hangar bays. For enormous mechanical claws extended from its underside, each holding a glowing spherical object. Rin stared in confusion. Sir, what are those? Holt's voice hardened. Crag siegebreakers. Planet killers. The Bloodmaw released all four at once. Four massive plasma globes fell toward Valyria, each large enough to vaporize entire cities. The Valyrian Council broke into chaos. We're finished. Those weapons will destroy us. Humans can't stop all of them. Elder Sailor whispered. If anyone can, they can. On the horizon, alarm screamed. Rin shouted. 4 plasma siege spheres inbound to the surface. Holt didn't hesitate. All forward frigates. Intercept. 6 Terran frigates shot ahead at impossible speed, leaving comet trails behind them. The first frigate rammed directly into the first plasma sphere. The explosion turned the sky bright white. The Valyrians fell silent. They sacrificed themselves for us, General Illera whispered. The second and third spheres were intercepted by Terran beam fire, massive white lances of energy that shattered the plasma cores. But the fourth sphere remained. A Terran ship, the TUS Valor, a mid-class destroyer, broke formation and charged at full speed. Rin shouted, Valor is trying to ram it. They won't survive. Holt lowered his head. They know. The Valyrian people watched as the destroyer accelerated, engines glowing like a star. It slammed into the last plasma sphere, detonating both in a burst of white fire. A hush fell across the planet. Elder Sailor whispered, That is what humans do. General Illera nodded slowly. They protect. But the humans were far from done. With the siege weapons destroyed, Holt raised his hand. All ships, concentrate fire on the supercarrier. Terran cruisers moved as one. Their combined beam hit the Bloodmaw's hull, melting through layers of armor. The Crag ship tried to escape, engines flaring, but the humans kept firing. Target destabilizing, Wren announced. Holt finished it. Fire the Titan lance. A massive silver cannon unfolded from the horizon's underside. It fired a beam thicker than a building, pure white energy that ripped straight through the blood maw. For a moment, the supercarrier floated silently. Then it exploded, turning into a new star. The Valyrians stared at the sky, tears in their eyes. They saved us. They destroyed a Dominion supercarrier. How powerful are these humans? Elder Sailor looked at the Terran fleet with awe and fear. They are not just warriors, he said softly. They are a storm. And the storm had only begun. The destruction of the Crag's supercarrier Bloodmaw shook the entire Valyrian sky. Its explosion burned bright enough to cast long shadows across the planet below. The Valyrians had never seen a Dominion ship fall, ever. And certainly not like this. High above the world, the Terran Armada was already moving, not celebrating, not pausing, preparing for the next step. On the bridge of the TUS horizon, Commander Holt stood silently, watching the last fragments of the Bloodmaw drift into the void. Status, he asked quietly. Tactical Officer Wren scanned the field. Crag remaining forces are retreating, sir. They're fleeing into a jump corridor. Holt nodded slowly. Good. We're following. Wren blinked. Sir, that's a direct jump into Dominion territory. Holt looked at him with cold certainty. Exactly. They came for civilians. They came for a peaceful world. They enslave entire species. And now, he tilted his head slightly, humanity is coming for them. A silent shiver passed through the bridge crew, not out of fear, out of anticipation. Down on the Valyrian surface, the council hall was buzzing with disbelief. They're chasing the Dominion? Into their own space, a council member gasped. That's madness, another said. No one enters Dominion territory and survives. General Illera frowned. They are not no one. These humans, they fight differently. Elder Sailor closed his eyes, feeling both fear and awe. Perhaps this is what happens when a warrior race chooses kindness over conquest. Their strength becomes limitless. The hull vibrated softly as Terran engines roared overhead. The Armada was leaving. In orbit, Terran ships aligned in a perfect arrowhead formation. The horizon sat at the tip like a spear. Energy built along their hulls, blue electric veins spreading across the metal. Wren looked nervous. Sir, Valyrian channels are requesting clarification. They want to know if we will return. Holt simply said, We don't leave jobs unfinished. He raised his hand. Armada, engage FDL. The stars blurred into white lines as the Terran fleet jumped into the unknown. The jump threw them into a region of space unlike anything the Valyrians had ever dared explore. Dominion space. Here, the stars themselves looked darker. Systems glowed with red military grids. Massive asteroid fields drifted like broken bones. And far ahead, Wren swallowed. Sir, that is a Crag shipyard. The hologram displayed a monstrous structure, several kilometers wide, built inside a hollowed asteroid. Heavy chains of metal held the asteroid together, and dozens of Dominion cruisers floated around it like guard dogs. But the worst sight wasn't the ships. It was the prison barges attached to the shipyard. Hundreds of them, thousands of life signs, enslaved species, beaten, tortured, ready to be shipped to war factories. Holt's jaw tightened. Target, all prison barges. Priority 1, rescue. A communications officer hesitated. Sir, if we fire near them. We won't fire, Holt cut in. We board. We liberate. The crew exchanged glances. Humans were known for many things, but their willingness to risk their own lives to save strangers was becoming legendary. Wren took a breath. Sending drop teams. Terran dropships launched like falling stars, sleek, black, fast. They hit the decks of the prison barges with magnetic claws, cutting through hulls with white-hot beams. Inside the dark metal corridors, humans moved silently. Their armor glowed with faint blue lines. Their visors shimmered with tactical data. A Crag ward in charge of the plasma axe. A human marine stepped forward, caught the weapon with one hand, twisted, and the warden collapsed instantly. The prisoners watched in disbelief. What species are you? One whispered. A human medic knelt beside him. Friends. Back in space, the Crag shipyard began charging its weapons. Wren shouted, "Sir, they're targeting our dropships." Holt's voice turned cold. "Not today." He pointed at the massive Terran siege guns. All cruisers, open fire. The Terran fleet unleashed a storm of kinetic fire. Hypersonic slugs hit the shipyard like meteors. Chunks of glowing metal flew off into the void. The asteroid cracked open, exposing its inner factory. The Crag panicked. "Terran ships are penetrating our defenses. Call the Overlord, call anyone. They're insane. They're attacking a Dominion stronghold." But the humans kept pushing. One Terran battleship broke formation, flying dangerously close to the shipyard's central core. Its captain transmitted a message to Horizon. "We have a clean shot at the power core. Request permission to ignite." Holt responded instantly. "Granted." A single lance of white plasma shot from the battleship, drilling deep into the asteroid's reactor. The explosion was so bright the Horizon's windows darkened automatically. The Crag shipyard shattered, breaking into rings of molten rock. The rescued prisoners were transported onto Terran vessels. Zalorian monks, crystalline Lurathi, small feathered Yulari children, and many more. None had ever seen humans before. One child asked, "Why did you save us?" A Terran medic smiled softly beneath her visor. "Because someone needed to." But victory didn't last long. Alarms blared inside the Horizon. Wren gasped, "Sir, incoming transmission." The screen flickered. A massive Crag figure appeared. 10 feet tall, armor in black, eyes burning like red suns. "The Overlord," Wren whispered. The Crag Overlord leaned forward. "Humanity," he growled. "We did not know you existed." His voice turned deadly. "But now we will correct that." The transmission ended abruptly. A silence fell over the Terran flagship. Then Holt spoke. "Armada, prepare for the largest battle humanity has ever faced." And somewhere in the darkness of Dominion space, millions of Crag ships began to mobilize. The storm humans had started was about to become a war. Dominion space was no longer quiet. It shook. It burned. It trembled under the weight of war. And in the center of that growing storm, the Terran Union, Armada drifted like a blade pointed at a monster's throat. Inside the TUS Horizon, the bridge was dark, lit only by cold blue displays. Dozens of officers stood frozen as the scanners finished calculating the impossible. Wren's voice fell into a whisper. "Commander, the readings are real." Holt didn't look away from the data. "How many ships?" Wren swallowed. "All of them, sir." A hush fell across the bridge. All of them meant one thing. The entire Crag Dominion fleet had mobilized. Millions of signatures. An ocean of red dots covering a region of space wider than the Terran home system. Human officers stared at the map in silence. No panic, no fear, just tension sharp enough to cut metal. Communications Officer Lara broke the silence. "Sir, the Overlord has called a full war assembly. Dominion fleets from 16 sectors are converging on our position. He wants to crush us in one blow." Holt nodded once. "Let him try." In a heavily guarded hangar of the Horizon, the rescued alien prisoners watched the frantic yet controlled human preparations. The Zalorian monks whispered prayers. The Yulari children clung to each other. An elder crystalline being, glowing faintly, spoke to a human officer. "You fight an empire with your bare hands. Why do your people not flee?" The officer tightened his armor joints calmly. "Humans don't run. Even when death stands in front of you?" The alien asked softly. The officer paused, then smiled without humor. "We stand anyway." Across Dominion space, the Crag Overlord began his move. He stood atop his throne, a twisted construction of bone, metal, and stolen technology. The chamber was lit by a giant red star outside the windows. A massive hologram of the Terran fleet floated before him, tiny compared to the millions of red Crag markers surrounding it. "The humans believe bravery is strength." The Overlord growled. They will learn bravery means nothing when crushed. Behind him, commanders hissed in agreement, but the Overlord's eyes narrowed at the tiny blue icons representing humans. Yet, something about them disturbs me, he muttered. They fight like they have nothing left to lose. Terran engineers worked quickly, finishing adjustments to the Titan Lance cannon. The weapon glowed with unstable white energy. It hummed like something alive and angry. Wren approached Holt. Sir, Titan Lance is recharging. We can fire again, but we only get one shot before the cooling cycle. Holt nodded. One shot is enough if it hits the right target. Wren hesitated. Sir, what exactly is the plan? Holt finally looked at him. We don't wait for them to surround us. We strike first. Hard. Wren's eyes widened. We attack the entire Dominion? No, Holt pointed at the map. We attack the Overlord's command ship. If they lose command, the whole swarm breaks. Wren whispered, that means jumping straight into the center of their formation. We'll be surrounded on all sides. I know, Holt said quietly. A silence passed between them. Sir, Wren said softly, most species fear the Dominion. They kneel. They surrender. Holt's voice hardened. Humans don't kneel, and we don't break. Across the Armada, Terran soldiers prepared for what could be their final battle. In the carrier TUS Valkyrie, a squad of Marines checked their weapons. Their sergeant, a tall woman with a scar across her jaw, spoke softly. You all know the odds. Don't think about them. Think about the people we already saved. Think about the children in the safe decks. Think about Earth watching us from light years away. She placed her helmet on. Today, we fight for every species of Dominion ever hurt. The Marines slammed their fists to their chest plates. Humanity stands. Back on the Valyrian surface, the sky was filled with Terran sensor echoes, showing what was coming. The Valyrian Council gathered nervously around the screens. General Illiro whispered, they are going to face the entire Dominion. A young council member's voice cracked. They will be destroyed. Elder Sailor spoke gently. Perhaps, but they will not fall easily, and they will not fall quietly. He looked at the human ships shrinking into jump space. No matter what happens next, the galaxy will never forget them. Inside the horizon, the moment arrived. Wren shouted, Crag Fleet's entering system. Multiple warp signatures. The displays flashed red, warning after warning. The stars outside warped as thousands of Crag ships appeared, forming an enormous sphere around the Terran Armada. More ships jumped in behind them, and more, and more. A sea of fire, a galaxy of enemies. Commander Holt stood straight. All ships, he said calmly. This is humanity. We've endured extinction before. We've fought darkness before. And today, we show them what we are. He pointed forward. Bring us into the heart of their fleet. The engines roared. Armada, charge FTL microjump. A junior officer choked. Microjump into their formation. Sir, no one has ever. That's why they won't expect it. Terran ships glowed with violent blue as the jump drives overloaded. Space folded and cracked around them. The Valyrians watching the live feed gasped. What are they doing? They're going to tear themselves apart. But Elder Sailor whispered, No, they're aiming for the throat. The Terran fleet jumped. Not away, not back home. Straight into the center of the Dominion swarm. Inside the jump corridor, alarms howled. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew. Metal warped. Lights flickered. Wren held onto the railing. Sir, if this fails, we die instantly. Holt didn't flinch. Then we don't fail. A tear ripped open in the fabric of space. The Terran Armada burst out, inside the enemy's formation, right in front of the Overlord's command citadel. Crag ships reeled in shock. Holt's voice rang across the fleet. All weapons, fire. The void erupted. This wasn't just a battle. This was the beginning of something the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity versus an empire. And the humans weren't losing. Not yet. Space shattered into chaos. The Terran Armada's risky microjump had thrown them right into the heart of the Dominion fleet, an impossible move no species had ever dared attempt. But the humans had done it, and now they stood surrounded on all sides by millions of enemy ships. The Crag Overlord Command Citadel, an enormous black fortress floating between blood-red stars, loomed ahead. Its spiked hull glowed with crimson energy, preparing to unleash a weapon that could destroy entire moons. On the TUS horizon, klaxons blared. Sparks fell from the ceiling panels. The ship shook under constant enemy fire. Ren, gripping the tactical console, yelled, "Shields at 14%. Hull damage across 5 decks. Sir, Dominion fleets are tightening formation." Commander Holt wiped blood from his cheek, voice steady. "They want to crush us quickly. We won't allow it." He raised his hand calmly. "All ships, circle defense. Prepare Titan Lance." The bridge officers froze. Titan Lance wasn't just a weapon. It was a last resort. It required extreme energy. It risked tearing the horizon apart. Ren swallowed hard. "Sir, firing Titan Lance inside a battlefield this dense. If it overloads, we die with them." Holt didn't look away from the Overlord's citadel. "And if we don't fire, millions die when the Crag move on to their next world." Ren closed his eyes. Understood. The battle outside was pure chaos. Terran destroyers fought in tight, disciplined formations, weaving between enemy fire. Human fighters darted like silver needles through swarms of Crag drones. A Terran frigate exploded beside the horizon. Another human cruiser rammed a Crag heavy carrier, tearing through it with brutal force. The battlefield looked alive. Flashes of light, trails of burning metal, and glowing weapon arcs crossing like storms. Even the Crag commanders were stunned. They fight inside our formation? Are they suicidal? No, they are coordinated. No chaos. No panic. The Overlord slammed a clawed fist onto his throne. Then we will break their coordination. Charge the Annihilator. The Citadel's core ignited with red fire. If that weapon fired, the Terran fleet will be vaporized in one blast. Inside the horizon, Holt gave the order. Power Titan Lance. The deck vibrated violently as energy diverted from every corner of the ship. Lights flickered. Heat rose. The metal groaned like a beast under torture. Ren checked readings. Charging 60%, 70, 80. Sir, core fuel lines are overheating. Keep going, Holt said quietly. 90, 95. Then everything went white. A surge of energy exploded across the horizon, shutting down half the bridge screens. Ren gasped. Titan Lance, fully charged. Holt stepped forward. All ships cover us. Across the battlefield, Terran ships shifted formation, placing themselves between the horizon and incoming fire. They formed a living shield. Some ships fell. Some cracked apart in flames. But they held the line. Ren whispered, "They're dying for this shot." Holt spoke with a voice like steel. "No, they're dying for everyone who comes after." The Overlord watched the horizon glowing with white-hot energy. "So the humans choose death." He raised his claw. "Fire the Annihilator." The Citadel's massive cannon charged. But Holt moved first. Fire. The Titan Lance erupted from the horizon, a beam of pure white light. So bright it looked like a newborn star shot across a battlefield. It pierced through drone swarms, shattered Crag destroyers, and struck the Overlord's citadel with unstoppable force. The entire fortress screamed. Metal melted. Shields collapsed. The citadel cracked open like an egg under a hammer. The Overlord roared, his voice shaking every screen. "Humanity, we will not." The beam intensified. The transmission died. The citadel detonated into a supernova of red shards and black fire. For a moment, the battlefield went completely silent. Millions of Crag ships halted mid-flight. Sensors dimmed. Weapons powered down. The Dominion, for the first time in its long and brutal history, was leaderless. Ren stared at the screen, eyes wide. "Sir, they're fleeing. All of them. In every direction." Commander Holt let out a quiet breath he had held since the beginning. "It's over." But the ship shook violently, alarms blaring. "Sir," shouted an engineer, "the Titan Lance overheated the core. We're losing power." Ren added, panicking, "Jump drive is collapsing. We're going to be caught in an explosion radius. The horizon began to glow from inside, white cracks spreading along its hull. Holt clenched his fists. We're not dying here. He hit the intercom. All ships, grab the horizon with tractor beams. Pull us out. The Terran fleet, damaged and bleeding, obeyed instantly. Dozens of ships grabbed the horizon, dragging it through debris fields toward safe space. The horizon's engines flickered. The core reached critical heat. The jump drive screamed. Then, a blinding flash, and the horizon vanished into jump space. Moments later, the rest of the Terran Armada followed, retreating as the Dominion fleet scattered in fear. Hours later, above the Valyrian world, the Terran ships reappeared, scarred, cracked, darkened with battle marks, but alive. The Valyrian capital erupted into cheers. People cried openly. Children pointed at the sky in awe. Inside the council hall, Elder Sailor whispered, "They did it! A single species broke an empire." General Illyra turned to him with trembling eyes. What are humans truly?" Sailor answered softly, "They are what the galaxy needed, even if the call was a mistake." On the horizon's bridge, Holt stood quietly, watching the peaceful planet below. Ren approached him. "Sir, it's strange." "What is?" Holt asked. "That ancient beacon was never meant for us, and yet somehow we received it." Holt looked out at the stars. Maybe the universe thought it was time someone stood up to the Dominion. Ren smiled faintly. "And it chose humans." Holt returned the smile. "Humanity answers every call for help, even the ones not meant for us." And so the galaxy changed. The Dominion fell. The Valyrians survived. And everywhere across the stars, whispered stories began. Stories of the species that arrived when no one else would. Stories of the warriors who never surrendered. Stories of the humans who broke an empire. The ancient beacon had made a mistake. But maybe it was a kind of mistake that saves the universe.